Witness the everyday life of a 1-inch tall mollusk who just wants to be reunited with his long-lost family in Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. Written and directed by Dean Fletcher Kemp, who's done documentaries as well as shorts, including a little 2010 short movie. Little short actually is a little bit redundant. Big short would just not make any sense. But yes, in 2010, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On was a short. They gained some traction, and a number of years later, A24 said, hey, make a full-length feature. We'll fund it. Okay, anytime A24 or Neon Studios have their label on a movie, I'm absolutely there and ready to watch. A24 is my absolute favorite studio going today. They're willing to make bold statements and do some projects that other studios wouldn't touch, and they have pretty much turned like 95% of the concepts movies into absolute treasure. The least of their movies aren't all that good, but they just have a tremendous track record of knocking shit out of the goddamn park, and they have really hit their stride in the last number of years. 2019's Waves happened to be my favorite movie of that year, and in 2020, they did other projects last year, and this year, so many projects, too many to name, but A24, they decide, hey, let's just do this, let's do this lighthearted, yet also deep meaning film about a little 1-inch tall mollusk. I mean, really on the surface, the concept shouldn't have worked at all. And other people contributed to the writing process. Elizabeth Holm, not to be confused with Elizabeth Rome, because completely different names. That was the blonde from some seasons of Law and Order, who wrote Obvious Child and Landline. And then there's Nick Paley, who's done shorts, and Jenny Slate, who was the lead woman doctor in Venom, and has done voices for Bob's Burgers and Big Mouth, and also, helped contribute more to this Dean Fletcher Camp feature-length adaptation. And Jenny Slate voices Marcel, the Shell with Shoes On. And Dean also appears as the director. I mean, literally, he is the director of a film he's just doing, documentary-style stuff, documenting the life of Marcel, who's living with his grandmother, Connie, voiced by Isabella Rossellini. I did not know Isabella Rossellini was still alive. I am glad for her, and she really did a great job here. And this, if you actually try to dive into it and peel back any layers to this simple yet deep meaning story, some of it doesn't make all that much sense, but let's talk about the positives. Pretty much everything in this. I mean, Jenny Slate does a great job voicing Marcel. We see the everyday process of how these little tiny shells are able to be in this big world, be in this Airbnb house that was owned by a couple that was fighting a whole lot, and then one night the husband left, took everything, including a stuff from the drawers. One drawer that happened to have Marcel's family. So unfortunately, Marcel's been looking for that family, been looking, for every, been looking for the parents, looking for every family member for a number of days. It's actually been about 2 years. The trailer did reveal quite a bit of this, even though I think the trailer was only like 90 seconds to 2 minutes. And it is just, it has lighthearted moments. It also has very, very sad moments. Very, very sad moments, in fact. Some that you could obviously see coming from a mile away, but that still doesn't mean they aren't, any less impactful. And as far as just the tone of the movie and as far as the pacing of the movie and everything, it is phenomenal. This is absolutely one of the best films of the year. And I wasn't so sure at first when I saw the trailer. I'm like, A24 gained into the stop motion animation type stuff. That's how Marcel was done. And the 3D printing is how a lot of these, shells were done. And it was done in a really, really interesting way to where it almost seemed like it could really happen despite the crazy, fanciful, way out there idea of shells being able to communicate in, human voices, with human voices, that is. But nevertheless, this is something that I wouldn't mind seeing as an expanded universe, but as a standalone movie, it is just really, really goddamn good. And it's fantastic, very emotional, has a gut punch of a, part in the third act. And for 80 minutes, they managed to really get a lot out of this. And we don't discover everything about every single character, but what we discover, we want to learn more about these particular people. Dean is fine as a director, and he, comes across as endearing. And of course, there are questions like how in the world was he able to, why did he decide to suddenly befriend a talking mollusk, and how were they able to live through, in this house despite the dangers and, the people coming in and out of this Airbnb that used to be owned by this couple. How were they able to do all this stuff? We see some things of how they were able to learn how to farm and how Connie has been taking care of Marcel, but wants Marcel to be able to find the rest of the family. Don't just worry about her because she's getting old, she's getting tired, and she's taking care of children. That's a reference for people that are wrestling fans. If you get it, you get it. Jenny Slate absolutely nails it as Marcel. This is a terrific, terrific dive into what family means to people, and it's just really, really, it's really, really good. It does really tug at your heartstrings, and it's easy to watch. Kids can enjoy it, mature adults can enjoy it. The whole family could really enjoy this. I can see some people maybe being turned off by what looks like a simple concept. And sure, there are other movies that have a much, much, much deeper narrative, but this is just really good. It's just really, really good, and Dean Fletcher Camp absolutely nails it, and everybody involved, they do great stuff here, and there's even people from 60 Minutes that come in, and it's dealt with a sense of realism, despite the fact, and there's the wide-eyed nature of Marcel, who really wants to take care of his grandmother. He wants to find his family, but he just wants to not lose anything more than what he already has lost. He doesn't want to just go on, the possibility of maybe finding something and losing everything that he has remaining. It does show how family can mean a whole lot to you. The stuff with the grandma in particular actually got to me because I remember, some of the times I had my grandma when I was a kid. But I will say that this movie was quite good. I am going to get into spoilers now, but it's available for like $7 on Amazon. It's absolutely worth it. So, yeah, let's get into spoilers. These spoilers will not take very long, do not worry. 3, 2, 1. Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. Check it out. And spoilers. Okay. So, basically what ends up happening is Dean, lets it be known as time goes on, the reason he's at this Airbnb is him and his wife separated. Marcel has revealed a whole bunch of this stuff, whole bunch of details, but he's like, oh, you didn't tell me that, and I revealed all this stuff to you. And it's told, the documentary style and the way it's told, and how Marcel's able to get around the house. He gets in a tennis ball and rolls around, and Dean has a dog that's just, it's a curious dog. It's just around and everything. It's not trying to hurt anybody. But we find out that that being a little mollusk in a human world can be a little bit damaging, especially if you're caught. Not that humans are being cruel, but that if they're not aware, they're not going to take care of you. And they imply that some got injured, and then the others got taken by that, by the husband when he left during the night, because him and his wife had an argument, and it was just really, really well done. Like, the 60 Minutes stuff, yeah, it's a little bit silly. The documentary takes off, so 60 Minutes decides to reach out, and that was a show that Marcel and his grandmother watched. And then Connie gets injured at one point when him and Dean go out to look in the hills over this town and everything, and figure out, hey, maybe we could find the ex-husband's car, the teal car and everything. And he can't pronounce some words. He can't pronounce Mitsubishi at all, and then again, I barely can. And then Connie gets injured, and she's kind of having some issues and stuff like that because she's old, she's tired, and again, being around children. And then what ends up happening is she encourages him to take the interview. So, it's a go, the stuff's happening, she sees it, then she dies. That hit because I remember losing my grandma when I was young. Which it's a part of life, but you get used to somebody being around your kid you don't really know. But eventually what ends up happening is through the 60 Minutes interview and through talking to Dean and stuff like that, the dog gets sent away to live with his wife. Nothing bad. The dog's perfectly fine, by the way, at the end of the movie. But they get more information from the 60 Minutes interview. And then they find a way to contact the ex-wife who's helping do humanitarian efforts in Guatemala. She puts them in contact with the husband, or the ex-husband, and then they're arguing, and suddenly Marcel hears, wait a second, every time that we hear the arguments, we go to his sock drawer. Well, then he hears and he goes immediately to the sock drawer, and everybody's there. It's a big ass family, by the way. They seem to imply it was only maybe 20 people, including his parents. There's little shells, little whatever, and there's food items that are talking for some reason. I don't really know if that was ever fully explained, but the thing is reunited. Jenny Slate actually does a really good rendition of "Peaceful, Easy Feeling" by the Eagles, which was really, really good. And then they're reunited. More documentary stuff. Parents, aunt. This one aunt pulls the mic out and says, "Tell him I'm not gonna wait forever." And then everybody's happy. Marcel talks about how there's this little crack in it, or his window's always cracked in the laundry room, and what ends up happening is it whispers through the ear, or whispers through, and the wind. So he just feels really, really, he just feels really at peace. And then we get credits where he goes to Dean's new place, and everybody's happy, and it's just really goddamn good and very emotional, motivated, and just really, really good stuff. And I'm giving it an A+. It absolutely deserves that. I'm going to stop talking about this because I'm going to end up crying about the grandma part again. But anyway, agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Wetland. I'll see you soon.